Welcome back to another episode of Success After Trauma, where we bring on special guests. They share a little bit about their story, their journey, some of the challenges that they faced, what their healing was like, and then how they're giving back today. So I have been connected with Maurice through a mutual friend. Actually, Bridget connected us, and for those of our loyal followers, loyal listeners, Bridget has been on the podcast in the past before. Bridget has taken a 7-figure business into bankruptcy, then bought it back out, and has beat cancer several times in her life. She's an incredible human. She connected Maurice and I, and what a powerful connection. Maurice is a Marine. He served between 1996 and 2000. He's been in church his entire life, but from the words of Maurice, the church has not been in him his entire life. He was just kind of showing up and going through the motions. As a young adult, as when he ventured off into college, he was an athlete and just really started feeding the ego. And eventually he came to a place. So from high school being an athlete, goes into the Marine Corps, huge ego, and eventually comes to a place where he decides to give his life to God. And then 2 days later, his life is turned upside down. Maurice, will you kind of take us back to the beginning and tell us a little bit about your relationship with God before venturing off to college? Tell us a little bit about that journey, that ego journey that you went through, and tell us about the event that really turned your life upside down.
So I guess to give you some content and some foundation, I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky originally, and Louisville, Kentucky is pretty much a big city for a lot of people that's in small areas. Growing up around my dad, all my uncles, and my brother, every last one of them had a bunch of female friends. So they was quote unquote ladies' man. I have an older brother and an older sister that's the same age. No, they're not twins. They have two different moms because my dad decided to find his identity in women. You know, my older brother, I have two nephews that are the same age. Again, they're not twins, two different moms because my brother decided to find his identity in women. But me seeing that, I was shy as a kid. So I was always big on concerned about what people thought about me, didn't really talk much. Now you can't get me to shut up. But I said I would never be like that because I looked at my mom and how my mom was treated, and my sister, I didn't want to treat nobody no different than the way I treat my mom or my sister. But as I started growing up and getting older, I started playing sports, getting into sports, and even though I said I wouldn't be like it, I thought it was cool because that's what's not me. I wasn't able to talk to females like that. Get older and playing sports. Now I played 9 sports in high school. Go to college on sports scholarship. I'm playing football and wrestling in college. Then I ended up going to the Marine Corps to get on the all-Marine wrestling team because I felt like if I would have chosen, first of all, any other branch, I would have always wondered, could I have made it being a Marine? I heard they was the best. And since I had the ego, thought I was the best, I said, I'm going to the Marine Corps.
That's right.
Especially there was different females that said, my daddy didn't make it. So I was like, some females I had to prove wrong. Not only I'm going to come back and show you off and your daddy off, you're going to be my girl when I come back. Because and me, I've always dealt with the issue of ego and pride.
Yeah.
What I've learned through my mentor that pride, first of all, the letter that's in the middle is I. And so he's told me that pride, you break it down, pride means, please remember, I destroy everything.
Wow.
And so I put that in my book that I wrote. And then with ego, if you got pride, then ego kicks in. Ego should be ego, entering God's opportunities. But when pride kicks in, ego becomes edging God out. So it was always there, an issue, because I was so concerned about a reputation versus a great character. And reputation is just based on other people's opinion. And I've got
Mm.
to the point now where I realize your opinion is none of my business, but it hasn't
Mm.
always been there. So growing up now, I got all these females and different stuff. I'm in the Marine Corps. Now I got 2 or 3 females pregnant at the same time. Why? Because I reverted back to the environment that I grew up in, even though I said I wouldn't do that. So now I'm an athlete. I got females. I'm selling like weed on the side and stuff like that I
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be. Uh, it was
Are you what if you don't mind, Maurice, if you don't mind me, yeah, if you mind me asking, what is your relationship to God at this point? Like, obviously, that you've been in the church. Are you just kind of ignoring God? Are you on a hiatus from church, or what does that look like at this point at this chapter?
so it was it was my mom took me to church. Me and my sister growing up, church every day. Sometimes it seemed like 7 days a week, 3 times a day. Uh, so it was a ritual to me, like a way of life. This is just what we do. So like I said, I was in church, but church wasn't in me because
Okay,
I,
okay.
I thought that's just what we done. So
So it was more of a I'm
routine.
sorry, I keep diving in.
Oh, you
It
good?
it was more of a, would it be fair in saying, like, it was more of a discipline at the time? Like, it was a thing
Right,
that had to be done, but it
right.
didn't have meaning yet. Is that
Yeah. So it
sound
was more external versus internal.
beautiful? Okay, I'm tracking.
Mm.
So
And
take us
so
back. Yeah, yeah. Keep taking us on the journey.
yeah, so when I get ready to leave high school, uh, I get a wrestling scholarship, and now I'm a little nervous because I got to go outside um, my box.
Hmm.
I've had this world under control. I know how to run high school. I know how to run the neighborhood. I know how to do this and that. And now I got to go out of town with a whole different environment. So I figured, let me go to the altar and get my life right with God. It was the surface though. It never penetrated. So it was
Hmm.
head
Hmm.
and never penetrated the heart.
Hmm.
Once I got in college and I started figuring and winging things out, now I'm this ladies' man where I'm a freshman in college, but I'm dating juniors and seniors. So I'm thinking I'm cool. I was like,
Hmm.
man, Mo got this thing together. Mo is the man. Mo is the
That's
man.
good.
Yeah, so I was just prideful. Go on to and as I look back on it, I have hurt so many different people because I had that mindset that you privileged to be with me as if I was quote unquote God's gift to the world. But and then I used to think I was getting away with so many things. But the truth of the matter is I wasn't getting away with it. God was just showing his hand, his grace, and his mercy. He didn't allow me. A lot of people say stuff like, God orders your steps, but he also orders your stops,
Mm.
prevents you from getting caught up in some things that could take you out of here. I go on to get it. Excuse me. I go on to the Marine Corps because I think I'm the best. 2 or 3 females pregnant at the same time, and in that process of me trying to be a ladies' man, I I decided to go back to church because now I'm living a lifestyle with all these different females. I'm doing here, and I'm tired of saying, God, I'm sorry for this. God, I'm sorry for this. Like,
Mm.
I ain't gonna do this no more. Which instead of saying you're not gonna do this anymore, one minister told me, he said, won't you just tell God you ain't gonna do this no more for a while? Because you're gonna do it again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If
I
we're
was
gonna
like,
be honest.
yeah, just be honest, say, because the truth of the matter is, as human beings, a lot of people pray to God for understanding and for direction. But the God that I serve wants us to pray to him and come to him because he just wants a relationship with him. And so from my understanding, when you have a relationship, you automatically gonna get the direction and the
Hmm.
instructions.
Hmm.
But again,
That's
I end up
powerful.
I end up with these different females. I'm saying, Lord, I'm sorry for real this time. But one night we was having a watch night service where trying to bring in the new year. And we was doing a skit. In this skit, it was about this well-known choir that around the world, they was the greatest choir in the world. But inside the choir, they had uh, a drug dealer, a prostitute. Uh, the choir director lived an alternative lifestyle, and so I came to church that night to just sit in church service, and I was always being a comedian and a person, a character, and they came to me. They said, Maurice, the guy that's supposed to play the choir director tonight didn't show up. Can you replace him? And I was like, no. Y'all must, first of all, that's not my lifestyle. I got a reputation I'm trying to hold on to. Secondly, I was like, I didn't rehearse with y'all. They said it's not about that. They said you love this church. Won't you just play the part and just be funny, just be yourself? I'm thinking, I ain't playing that part, man. I'm looking at all these pretty women sitting in church. I'm like, I'm not playing that part. Now, but then I was like, man, I really do love this church because it sort of shifted my way of thinking. So I played the part, and even while I was playing the part, at the end of the play, everybody that was in the issues that they was in, they came to the altar, and for entertainment, they was giving their life back to the Lord, that they was going to become a real organic choir that was doing the right thing. But while I was laying on the altar, to everybody else, it was entertainment. But I literally had all the issues and stuff I was doing, my life flashing before my eyes. Like, Maurice, you keep doing this, and this is time out for playing. And I was like, okay, God, seriously, I want to be so connected to you. And I was serious this time. And so even people see me crying, different stuff. They're like, man, this dude's a good actor. No, I was serious this time. It just all hit me at once. And 2 days later, I had a car wreck. Um, Now I'm laying in this hospital bed, off and on for a year, having to learn how to walk again, having to learn how to talk again. Um, had 20 surgeries. And that's the reason why I had a trach in my neck for like 5 years. I had all these surgeries.
20
Um,
surgeries, man. I'll keep
yeah,
going. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. So this had to be a one, and I have had the privilege of hearing that you have been in a car wreck. I haven't heard the details yet, but for all the listeners, they're just hearing this for the first time. The bomb just dropped for them.
oh,
Can no. Can you tell us a little bit about and I don't I'm at whatever level you're willing to share a little bit about the wreck. I have to make an assumption this was a pretty bad wreck. Um, yeah. What do you recall from the wreck itself, or what were you recall being told about the wreck?
so well, just to show you the last part of the detail, not only did I have a trach for 5 years, but my eyeball was knocked out of the socket.
Mm.
My eyeball was actually pushed in, and it was hanging on the inside of my cheek by a nerve, and the doctors could not even explain how come it didn't just fall off.
Mm.
Sometimes in life we gotta hang on, and when it's feel like we at our wits end, till we can get back in place.
Wow.
um the story behind the wreck is I actually was a party animal, and I was actually on my way to church that night, because I was trying again, trying to do some things, to turn my life back around. And I dozed off and fell asleep. I had been on this run. I was a transporter truck driver in the Marine Corps, because I was the lowest rank in the motor pool. They pulled one on me where I had to be up at 4 o'clock that morning, and I worked until 5 o'clock that evening. And the crazy thing is, when I had my wreck, every authority, officers, superiors, everybody either retired or transferred out of the company, concerned I was going to sue them. But I was just grateful to be alive. But yeah, as I'm on my way to church, I dozed off. From what I've been told, I dozed off for about a mile. Going down it in a mile, I finally dozed off into a deep sleep and went over to the next lane, and driving a Galant, and a Suburban hit me on the driver's side.
Mm.
Then it flipped the car around the opposite direction, going back the opposite direction, and the concrete median hit me on the driver's side as well. And
Mm.
so it didn't flip my car over into a campground area, and it took them about an hour to cut me out. They said that I was coming in and out. They said the first thing I said, and I don't remember these words. They said the first thing I asked as I was laying in a pool of blood, how is the other drivers doing? From what I was told, that they had a scratch on their Suburban. My superior staff sergeant said that he paid my ticket because of everybody on the campus knew that I was a good person because I've always kept people with a smile on their face. He said he paid the ticket and went from there. But again, like I said, I was laying in that hospital, and eventually, I don't know if you wanted me to bring about my mom quitting her job and moving, but she
No,
quit her
let's hear it.
job in
Yeah.
Tennessee and moved to live in the hospital with me to take care of me, so the
Oh,
nurses and doctors didn't have to do much. But while she was there, she said that they said that my face, my head was the size of a donut tire. That I was unrecognizable. That they even had to write my name above my bed in the hospital, just so that people could call me like the right name and stuff. But they said even so many different Marines that came to visit me just ran back out crying because they didn't recognize who I was.
yeah.
Um, so in the process, though, my mom was always playing gospel music, these songs and stuff like that, and she prevented me from looking into a mirror because she didn't want me to have any setbacks. And actually, for the first week or so, I didn't even know what was going on. I was in and out of consciousness. Every time I would wake up, I would see like 20 or 30 people there. So to me, it was like a big dream. I didn't realize this was real life happening. It might have been in the medication where I didn't feel a lot of pain as well. And I didn't, because I couldn't speak and I didn't even know this eye was even shut. So like I said, to me, it was just all a dream. And then
Mm-hmm.
one day, a doctor came in talking about I overheard surgery. And I went to look at my mom, like, what is he talking about? And because I couldn't really move or write anything, uh, I gave like a gesture as if I'm confused. That's when my mom finally broke down and said, um, baby, I don't know if you realize it or no, but you're in the hospital and you was in a major traumatic car wreck. And so they had to fly you in a helicopter to get you to this hospital. Now, only if I had been awoke, that probably would have happened because I don't like heights. But yeah, me and heights don't get along. I tell people
Mm.
all the time, um, I read my Bible, and the Bible said we shouldn't be up high like that. And it's like, well, where you read that at? I said, in Matthews, it says, lo, I'll be with you, even to the end of the world. Now, you can interpret that scripture how you want. They say, lo, I'll be with you, even though that means, no, I'll be with you, but still.
That's what you're like. This is what I heard him say.
Yeah, that's what I heard her say.
This is how I
Uh,
interpreted it. That's good.
me and Heights, we ain't got the greatest relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
I tell people, I say, I'm not scared. I just don't trust certain areas.
Right.
But yeah, eventually she didn't want me to see. She did not want me to see a mirror for any setbacks, and it was the process of healing process was it was very challenging, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Some days they would help me put on a t-shirt, and it took almost an hour just for me to get a t-shirt on.
Mm-mm. Wow.
Some days they would help me try to start taking steps. I could take one step and it took all my breath away for the rest of the day. Some days they would try to get me to say certain words with the trach, and I could say, hey, something like that. That was it for the rest of the day. So the process of going through the healing was, yeah, it was very challenging. And then I had these staples and stuff that they had in my arm and in my hand. Where I was at, I had to lay my hand flat one day and watch my mom cry and watch them take those staples out of my hand without any numbness. Because that's the only way they could do it. And it was so painful. But I was, because I didn't have a voice, I couldn't even cry or holler
Mm.
out or scream. All I could do was just shed tears. So, and all my mom could do was just watch them. Boy, you make me think about some stuff that's happening that I don't think I ever shared this before.
Mm,
But
that's deep,
eventually I get
man.
it. I get out. I'm sorry.
No, no, yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
But eventually I get out of the hospital, and
Can Maurice, how long of a period went by roughly as from what you can remember where your mother had protected you from looking at how long was it that you hadn't seen yourself?
about 3 months initially. And what happened was I did get a glance. I didn't do a thorough look, but I got a glance. And by then I could say like 4 or 5 words when I finally, matter of fact, I could say a whole sentence. Now, as I remember, my mom had to come back to Tennessee to take care of some business. And the nurses was in the room and didn't know. And so they was helping me change one day. And the mirror was right there in front of me. And I paused for like a minute. And I was like, wow. And he looked and he was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I haven't seen myself. This for the first time. And so now they worry like, oh man, his mom's gonna come back. We all in trouble. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but because of my heart for people, all I could do was think of a quick joke. And the joke I said was, man, I never should have been talking about Mike Tyson's mom in his face. And so they didn't know whether to laugh or
Yeah,
cry.
right, right.
But I was like, well, it's funny to me. If I laugh, y'all can laugh too. But from then, me and the nurses started developing even a relationship to where sometimes I finally could get in my wheelchair and roll out to the nurses station. They were like, Maurice, today you're on punishment. Go back to your room. So, but yeah, I spent a lot of time. So someday, the reason why I say a year, not just a complete year nonstop. Some days they would send me home for, as I was getting better, send me home with friends and family for like maybe a couple of weeks to come back to redo some more surgeries and different stuff like that. So it was like, that's why I say off and on for a year. But
Wow.
I got to know just about every doctor in that hospital in Greenville, North Carolina.
I I can only I mean I can only do the best that I can to even imagine that healing journey because when the word healing when we say healing when we think of healing like I think I'm projecting, but as a society, we think of healing as this beautiful thing, and the end result of healing is beautiful. But healing, the journey of healing, is well, it's its own bundle of mess, if you will.
It's a process.
It's a process, and I can only attempt to imagine what that process was. It had to be immense. Tell us about afterwards how this affected or changed or strengthened. What was your relationship with God after this? So
So
right before this, you're like really having some awakenings, and you're like, I'm giving my life to God. This takes place, and then take us from there.
so like I said, as my mom kept me away from any kind of reflections, but when I finally got out, like I didn't even remember with everything else that was going on,
Mm-hmm.
that brief moment, I was
Mm-hmm.
there in that moment. But there was so much other stuff going on with the healing process. Had I forgot about that
Mm-hmm.
quickly. It was like a short memory with everything else that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was starting to get out on my own, I finally seen myself a good look in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just like wow, I really feel it. I really and so now I'm having a conversation with the Lord, and you would think right before this happened, I dove deep in like God, I'm coming back to you for real.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think my relationship with Him um, would grow even stronger because of what
Mm-hmm.
He's kept me through.
Mm-hmm.
And so now now I'm in the place where and like I feel like me and God was having a dialogue. And this is what I felt like he was putting in my spirit. He was like, Maurice, you was gun ho for me as long as you was laying in that hospital bed. He said, but when you finally got out, you seen your face, you seen your scars, you seen life happen to you. He said, but you seen everything but the reflection of me. So now I'm dialoguing with God. And I said, but God, I see a mess. And he said, no, son, even though had lost my identity, I felt like I didn't know who I was. He said, no, son, I don't see a mess. I see a miracle. And I'm like, no, no, God, I see misery. He said, no, son, again, you don't understand. I don't see misery. I see ministry.
Mhm.
But because it was still challenging, it was hard to believe. I mean, it was hard to receive. So what I did, I turned back to the environment that I grew up in. I resorted back to what was comfortable and chasing a bunch of women. Now I'm
Mm.
chasing them because, for a whole different reason and identity. Because now I'm trying to prove that I'm still a ladies' man. That I still this cool. I'm still this. I was doing everything I knew to do to try to outlive my scars.
Mm.
Because my facial appearance have changed, and I got a scar here, I got a scar there. So it went on for years and years until eventually, 14 years later, I meet this awesome woman of God, my wife now, who looked at me and she said she never seen the scars, but she's seen in me more than I've seen in myself. I'm thinking me getting married gonna stop all the craziness, but it didn't, because after I got married, um, because there wasn't a proper healing, now I'm in a place where I'm hurting my wife. I'm having conversations and doing stuff outside my marriage that I shouldn't have
Mm.
because I'm hurt and then I'm putting on some hurt. But I was grateful that I married a woman of God that gave her heart to God, but yet she shared it with me.
Hmm.
So even though she shared it with me, I broke it a couple of times. But in the process, because she was so strong in where she was and knowing her identity, she looked at me and she said, baby, you have made some mistakes, but you're not your mistakes. And
Mm.
I still believe in you. I
That's
eventually,
powerful.
I eventually connected with a mentor that told me and showed me who I was, to find my identity back in Christ. And through his ministry, it helped save my marriage because we was on the verge. Me and my wife was over in Israel. The way I connected with this guy, we was over in Israel for a vacation. And even though I was trying to take her, me and my wife, every year would go out of the country for our vacation. I thought I was just doing something lavish, trying to show my wife how much I care about her. Really what I was doing was, and as I look back on it, they say hindsight is 2020. As I look back on it, what I was trying to do is cover up that I wasn't being the man that she needed me to be. So I was
Mm.
trying to do it with stuff.
Mm.
But all my wife wanted me to do is just have a relationship with the Lord, a real one.
Mm.
And so we over in Israel, we're in Jerusalem now. We on our way to the Wailing Wall. And before you get to the Wailing Wall, you write on a piece of paper and stick your prayer request inside the wall. Unknowing to me and my wife had the same thing on the prayer paper. Me being a better husband, a better father, and a better man of God. We get back to the
Wow.
hotel an hour later. Uh, my mentor's thing pop up on my timeline about how to be a better man, a better husband, and a better father. I was like, ain't this cool? So I looked into it and I showed my wife because she knew I was a knucklehead. And sure enough, he called me. His name is Dr. Joe Martin. As right now, though he lives an hour away from me in Chattanooga, he's spoken all over the world. And he has the number one Christian podcast for men in the world. It's called Real Men 300. Um,
Wow.
and what we do is we talk about things that you won't hear in church. Because a lot of men suffer with things like whether it be stepping outside their marriage, same-sex relationships, um, pornography and masturbation, and you're not going to hear a lot of this stuff in church. So we keep it. We don't just say we keep it 100. We keep it 300 because God is 100, the Son is 100, the Holy Spirit is 100. So we said we
Mm.
keep it 300.
I love it. I love it.
And I can call him at any given time because he's been my mentor that showed me. And what he told me was, he said, Mo, I don't care how good you think you are. A good man can never be a great man until he connects with a godly man. And this is what we call discipleship. There's a lot of stuff that we just don't know that you assume because a person goes to church, they know right from wrong, but they've never been truly discipled. we celebrate when people come to the altar and give their life to the Lord, but we don't know what they get ready to face if we're not keeping an eye on and what's the next step. That's the time that the devil like, oh, I got a fresh one. Now I know as me, a lot of us have seen some pretty girls in high school. We was a senior, some pretty freshmen come through like, oh, freshman, or you know, we say fresh meat, but I don't want to give nobody the wrong stigma. But that's the first thing. We was knuckleheads in school. They would say he was young and dumb. But yeah, he teaches men, we disciple men on not only, they say being a man, they say we're male by birth, but we're man by choice.
Mm.
So being a man is not based on whether you're 18 or 21 years old. Being a man is not based on whether you got a full beard and mustache. Being a man is learning how to navigate through life problems and situations and reaching back and teaching another man how to do the same thing.
Mm.
And that's what we do in this ministry.
That's
So
powerful. Yeah, go ahead.
so I connect with him. He said, well, when you get back to the United States after vacation, connect with me. Now, mind you, I told you I've always dealt with pride and image. I get on the phone with him. This dude laid me out to make me feel I was as big as an ant. Now, right now, I'm 270 pounds. This dude is 5'5", maybe. I'm like, I can crush this dude. And it made me want pride. No, pride can get you in a lot of trouble. But I was too proudful to quit. I was like, he not going to make me quit just because he may talk to me like that. Pride is what kept me in. And as of now, in this part of this ministry where every guy in this ministry knows who I am, with all my mistakes, with all my hangups and everything. And even in other countries, all the guys know me, know Big Mo. And he has even changed my name where he said Mo. A lot of people say Mo because it's short for Maurice. He said, but as you continue to grow as a man of integrity, not that you're perfect, and we know it's not even a rumor that I'm perfect. But he said, as you continue to grow as a man of integrity, Mo is not just short for Maurice anymore. Mo stands for man of excellence.
Mm. That's powerful.
That's
I love that.
that's where I'm at, like I said, and so now, but yeah, through the healing process, I've hurt my wife, I've hurt so many different people, and now I'm in a place where I work at a local hospital. Um, I'm a transport, same thing I was in the military, but this time I
Mm-hmm.
get to transport them personally. I pick them up from either a CAT scan or from their room, take them for different modalities like MRI, X-rays. I never let a patient say anything negative about themselves, but I get to encourage them every day. I'm not trying to compare my story, but let them know that as long as you believe, no matter how dark it is, as long as you believe, there's still a light at the end of the tunnel, that there's still life after the car wreck. So
Mm.
from wreckage to wholeness.
I love it. I love it. That's powerful. So now on the journey, I know that you've begun speaking, and then have you launched or are in the midst of launching coaching as well? Do you already have you already begun coaching clients for inside of your mission, your organization yet?
I have not in the Real Man 300, the mentor that I have as a leader in that ministry, I now at least 2 or 3 times a week have different
Hmm.
guys
Hmm.
call me and I coach and mentor and give the advice as much as possible. But it's not my organization. And so it's pretty much I'm volunteering just to be of service to help somebody get through some of the stuff I had to go through.
And are you in the midst of launching your own business program, mission,
So
organization?
my desire is to launch this year. I decided to start speaking more and sharing my story. I've been connecting with a lot of different youth departments, and I want to grow my speaking career in the process. And I had never thought about coaching before, but coaching has been on my mind lately because I feel like even if I motivate you when I'm on stage, how am I going to know if I made an impact if I don't keep up with you with some kind of coaching program?
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Mm-hmm.
thought I've been going through lately, but I'm not sure. My passion is speaking. My passion is speaking. I can speak to a million, I can speak to one. I haven't had a chance to speak to a million yet, but when the opportunity presents itself, I'm going to pour out. I'll pour out my heart to one as if I was doing it to 1 million.
I
Um,
love it. That's powerful,
Anything I
man.
can do, yeah.
Dude, that's it. That's it. That's the passion. Like that's the passion when you say that. And for everyone listening to the podcast today, we're gonna have. If you're listening just the audio, you can check us out on YouTube. You can check out the video. The channel is Success After Trauma. We're gonna have links on there where you can contact Mo, email Mo, because I know there's people listening right now that are like, I need him to speak at my event. I need him to speak at my organization. You have a powerful message to share, and it's really clear that while you weren't connected with God the whole time, God was connected with you the whole time. Your ability to we all to say make mistakes. I don't know. I mean, sure, but also we all make purposes. You
Hey,
know, like
it's funny you said that, not to interrupt you, but I tell people all the time, people talk about making mistakes. I said, some people slide off the track. Some people slip off the track. I said, but Mo was intentionally jumping off the track.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, that's the thing when we say like mistakes, like as humans, like we definitely make mistakes,
Right.
but also some of the things you did and like you got to share and be vulnerable today. I mean, there's plenty that I could share and be vulnerable in. Did you make mistakes? I don't. You lived life.
Right.
In hindsight, you
Well,
won't make the same decisions again.
yeah.
But you know, some of the things you did were mistakes. Some of the things you did were intentional, and then you gained an experience and honestly a deeper connection with your higher power.
Right. Right.
Um, definitely, I'm gonna suggest to you, and you have to do what you're called to do. The passion is clearly speaking. I can see it. I can hear it. I can feel it. You're going to continue to speak. You're going to go on some amazing stages. Your words are going to change people. I heard you confess a desire, or that's my belief at least,
Yeah.
in coaching. If you're called to coach, go down that path.
Yeah.
There's always, go ahead.
I
Go
don't
ahead. Go ahead.
know. I don't, because I don't really know how coaching works. And I'm the type of person, I've seen different coaches. This is always been the issue for me. I've seen not
Mhm.
only different coaches, but I've seen different pastors that get into those uh, industries for the wrong reasons. I don't ever want to be a coach that somebody's paying me and then I'm not give them more value than the monetary gift that they're giving me.
And
And so if it's
because of that,
something that I don't understand it, I won't fake it like I did with so many things in life.
beautiful. Because you don't want to do that, you won't do that. You won't do it. I mean, unless you decide to do it, you won't do it. And I say that to say, again, only if you're called to coaching. I feel so compelled to share these words with you just because.
Yeah,
if you're,
I've heard like 10 or 15 people say that, but it's because it's something I just don't understand. It's just,
but
I,
here's the thing. Here, let me, if I could share, my
okay.
suggestion would be, and I can't tell you the exact way to do it, right? But here's the suggestion, the words that I want to offer you. You said, "Hey, I'm not gonna launch some BS. I want to have not just confidence, but I want competence."
Right.
Okay. And then you said, I like the idea of coaching, but I don't have my competence. Okay. You still haven't declared a problem yet.
Yes,
There's the journey is competence first, then coaching.
yes, sir.
And so the mindset is like instead of like allow clear the blockage of like, well, I can't coach yet or I can't coach yet because I don't know how to. No, 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 no. I'm going to suggest, and this is just my projections, my suggestions for whatever there's worth. The mindset is, oh yeah, I'm going to learn how to so I can. I'm going to learn how to so I can. And for you, Maurice, and then for everyone that's listening right now, I think coaches are a very important role. And I use the word coach. I use the label coach loosely. So some people may have a definition for coach in their mind, and other people have a different definition of coach. If you're going to be a guide for people through a certain modality,
Yes, sir.
and when I say modality, you may be shearing through I mean, there's just a ton of modalities out there. So you may be sharing through scripture. You may be sharing through what you're called through your higher power. You may be sharing through God. You may be sharing through religion. There's just a lot of ways someone may share. But right now, as a society, as a species, us humans, we have, and I'm not speaking. I look at, if we just look at like the last 5 years, if we just look at the last 5 years. So now we could look at a big picture. But if we look at just like a micro picture in the last 5 years, as a society, we've been on quite the emotional, mental, financial roller coaster as a society as a whole, as a globe.
Yes, sir.
And because of that, the refractionary period that's taking place right now is we need guides, coaches, healers to be showing up to help people coming off of this roller coaster ride. Like maybe more now than what we would have needed 5 years ago.
Yes, sir.
5 years ago, everybody was on an emotional, mental high. Some of it was a little bit hollow. So what? These are my projections. But people felt more stabilized 5 years ago.
Yes, sir.
Right now, people feel unstabilized.
Correct. Right.
And left unchecked, well, we know what that starts to look like. So that's why I suggest for everyone listening, like if you feel called to this, if you don't know where to start, I think the most important thing is finding out where to start, and keep your mind open. This is to you, Maurice, but to all the listeners as well that are in similar boats that you're in. They're like, hey, you feel like when leaders are called to leadership, like right before we take that launch, we're a little bit nervous. Am I the leader? Am I the one? Who am I to actually stand up in that role? Well, if we remove ego, we're no one. We're just the vessel that's being called, and we're kind of obligated to it, I think, if we remove ego. And then to everyone that's listening to this, when we think about like, well, I don't want to be a bad coach, I'm going to suggest the statement is, I'm not going to be a bad coach, instead of I don't want to be. And then the realization is there is not a right and a wrong way to do this program. When I say this program, to do this thing,
Right. The coaching.
there's not a like, oh, this, if you get certified this way or this method, I learn this thing or do this technique or do this process or charge people this amount or do it this way, that's the right way, and everyone else. What it comes down to is you work with a client, and then when you get done, did you facilitate change for them? That's what it really boils down to. Are you willing to facilitate? And I said facilitate. I didn't say create. Create is ego. Who am I to create?
Right.
But I can facilitate that person's experience.
Yeah, I love it. I've always lately for the last like month or so, just putting it in quotation when I'm talking about when I go to speak to people, I tell people I'm Moes the motivator, your positive identity coach. And I say that because I feel like I have the ability and grateful to take any kind of negative situation and shift you so you can see the positive in it. That's just my mindset. I told people for the rest of my life, I would never have another bad day. And I said, don't get it wrong. I'm human, but I don't call it bad days if something don't go my way. I say it's a character building day. And then sometimes there's be other people that will help me want to work on my character. Because what I want to do is I told them I want to put people in what I call a Holy Ghost headlock. Holy Ghost headlock is where you can choke them out and pray for them at the same time. And, but you can't just choke them out and pray for them. You got to talk to them while you're choking them out. So you got the headlock and you're like, all right, don't fight it. Just go on sleep. Don't fight it. But yeah, I tell people because I got a made up mind. But I've heard people at work, I said, how your day going? And they're like, so good so far. I said, why you say so far? Are you expecting something to go wrong sometime in the near future? You just say you're having a good day and it's pray that it stays that way consistently. And that's the way my mindset is. So like I said, I don't know if it's got anything to do with coaching, but I feel like I want to shift I've been told that I'm not just a thermostat. I'm not just a thermometer that accepts whatever is given, but I'm like a thermostat that shifts the atmosphere that I go into. And I received it and just keep pressing on.
It's true, man. Think about like when you saw yourself and you reframed you felt the energy of the nurses and reframed for them. Like you have a gift in your ability to reframe and helping men stand in their identity. Most we don't know what our identity is until we take that self exploration
I never
journey.
thought about that. I thought I was concerned more about the nurses. Well, I never thought about that before. Concerned about
Yeah.
the nurses more than my well.
And immediately like flipped it for them. Flipped it for them. That's evidence of your gift. That's powerful, Mo. I appreciate getting to connect with you. Um, we're gonna keep. I think we need to touch base. I want to link up with you again. I want to get back on the podcast. I want to see you continue to grow. Um, I I connect with your energy a lot.
Yes, sir.
I really vibe with you. I appreciate what you're doing. You're a powerful force on this earth.
Which is great.
And you know, and I'll share with you, it's not about you, but what you allow to be channeled through you.
Yes, sir.
You're serving you're serving God, you're serving light, you're serving love.
Yes, sir.
And the world needs that, and it's powerful. And your tenacity and your persistence are something that um is not just, we could use the word worthy of, and that's a fair statement, but I would say is something that is needed right now to be on display
Mm.
so people can see what is possible. It's kind of like there's several stories and examples around this, but like the 4 minute mile, like nobody thought, or Mount Everest, nobody thought it was possible for the longest time. Someone breaks the barrier, and like the next month, like X amount of people go and do it. But how did that many people do it after the first person? But before that, no one could do it. Someone broke the barrier and served as evidence. Your story breaks the barrier and serves as evidence, and it's got to be shared.
I'm just in a place where, and I know I don't have all the finance in the world. Like I said, I'm a growing and inspiring speaker, but my desire is to have enough income personally where I could travel the world and just speak life into people for free, and I have to charge them a dime because I just want to make an
Beautiful.
impact. I know I'm a big Bible believer. The Bible says that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. When I break that down, that I've learned through my mentor, he comes to steal your identity, steal your relationships, and try to destroy your legacy. And I
Mm,
don't want that to happen on my watch.
that's beautiful. I appreciate it, Mo. Do you have any? I'm gonna wrap us up. We'll bring you back on another episode in the future. Do you have? Would you share final thoughts, final words for anyone that is um, uncertain about their identity? But you know, when they heard it, think about the person that heard your story today and connect it, and they know they're a bit lost, but they connect it, and they're like, "Man, I want my purpose. I want to go on this journey." What are your words that you would share with that person, that listener?
Mm. Well, first of all, I mean, I know people have different beliefs and stuff, but whether you find them in church, whether you find, I know growing up, a lot of people say stuff like, "Man, what I'm going through," it's like, "Man, why don't you talk to a therapist?" Growing up in certain black neighborhoods, might not just be black, but certain black neighborhoods I grew up in, we thought, man, if I go talk to somebody, it makes me crazy. No, God gave them the ability to see inside of you some of the stuff that you're going through that. So they got a gift, just like you have a gift.
Mm,
But the first thing I would do, I would definitely, whether it's a teacher, a mentor, I would definitely connect with somebody that's on another level than you are. Because if you're like the smartest one in your group, you need to change the atmosphere instead
mm,
of so if you can't change the people around you, then change the people around you. And so I would definitely, our environment is very important because those are seeds being planted, and seeds eventually going to reap a harvest. So I would definitely connect with somebody that I can at least open up to. And the reason I say that is because a year ago, my 30-year-old son passed away.
mm.
He was dealing with issues where he always showed a lot of people the right way to do things. His name was Titus, but even though he wasn't doing it because he wasn't reaching out through all the stuff he was going through. And I tell men deal with ego and pride all the time. You won't reach out for help, and that's what he did. And he ended up having a heart attack. And a heart attack is a silent killer when we won't reach out and open up to people, open up to somebody that you trust, open up to somebody that you believe, that you feel is an honorable person. They don't necessarily have to believe in God, but they believe in principles. Principles work no matter what religion you believe in.
That's so powerful. Well, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate getting to connect with you. We're going to stay in touch, and I look forward to having you back on in the future. And for everyone listening, again, if you're listening to the audio, you can check out the video. Our YouTube channel is Success After Trauma. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can download us on all the major podcast streaming platforms so you can listen to us in the car. And until the next episode, be great. It's already in you.